Have you ever looked up at the clouds and seen a dog, or spotted a celebrity's face in your coffee? This phenomenon, where we perceive meaningful patterns in random stimuli, is called pareidolia, and most common is face pareidolia. Face pareidolia refers to the tendency to see faces in inanimate objects. While most instances of pareidolia are harmless fun, some become quite notable. For instance, a photograph of a region on Mars that looks like a face has often been cited as proof of extraterrestrial life. But why does our brain interpret faces in random objects? And does this serve a purpose? The answer is yes. The term pareidolia comes from the Greek words para, meaning instead of or beside, and eidolon, meaning form or image. It refers to instances where an image is perceived as something else. Pareidolia is part of a larger phenomenon called apophenia, the brain's tendency to make meaningful connections between random things. Generally harmless, extreme apophenia can sometimes indicate severe psychiatric conditions like schizophrenia. How does our brain recognize faces? Facial recognition is a complex cognitive process that helps us identify different faces, playing a crucial role in social interactions and survival. It helps us distinguish between strangers who may harm us and friends who may not. Research suggests that face pareidolia involves the same neutral mechanisms used for recognizing real faces. The process begins with visual input, which is first processed by the primary visual cortex. This part of the brain analyzes facial features like lines, curves, and edges. Next, the information is sent to regions within the temporal lobe, such as the fusiform face area or FFA and the superior temporal sulcus, which specialize in facial processing, analyzing identity and expressions. Finally, the information is sent to the prefrontal cortex and other temporal lobe regions for higher-level processing. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for executive functions like thinking and problem-solving, integrates all the facial features, emotional expressions, and identity to complete the facial recognition process. Our brain stores faces we encounter as face templates, allowing us to recognize faces much more quickly in the future. This leads to two essential cognitive processes: conceptual priming and recognition memory. Conceptual priming helps the brain recognize patterns faster over time, while recognition memory allows the brain to match a face against stored templates, making recognition more efficient. Several studies have explored the neural mechanisms behind face pareidolia. In 2009, a study using magnetoencephalography, or MEG, found that facial recognition from face-like objects is an early cognitive process. A 2012 study using fMRI by Joel L. Voss and his team confirmed that face pareidolia involves the same neural mechanisms as recognizing real faces, with increased activity in brain regions used for recognition memory. More studies have reinforced this theory. In 2018, a study using fMRI found that the same brain regions, including the FFA prefrontal cortex, occipital cortex, and temporal lobe, were activated when perceiving illusory faces. They identified both bottom-up, inertial perception, and top-down, higher-order cognition processes in interpreting face-like objects. A recent study from May 2024 by Blake W. Sorrells at the University of Queensland found evidence suggesting a shared mechanism for real and illusory faces, with perceived expressions influenced by previously seen faces. This shared cognitive process highlights the brain's adaptability in perceiving meaningful patterns around us. To our brain, a vaguely Elvis-like potato chip can indeed provide a substitute for the king himself. This adaptability showcases our brain's incredible ability to make sense of the world, whether it's recognizing a familiar face or discerning expressions in abstract shapes. Pareidolia also provides insights into our cognitive processes. The tendency to see faces in random patterns may have evolutionary benefits. Recognizing faces quickly can be crucial for survival, helping early humans identify friends, foes, and potential threats in their environment. This ability has been deeply ingrained in our brains over millennia. Interestingly, pareidolia isn't limited to visual stimuli. Auditory pareidolia occurs when we hear hidden messages in music played backward, or perceive random sounds as familiar voices. This auditory phenomenon demonstrates the brain's propensity to seek patterns and familiarity even in noise. Our brains are wired to find meaning in randomness. Artists and designers often leverage this tendency, creating works that invite viewers to see faces and shapes within abstract forms. This interplay between perception and creativity highlights the unique ways our minds interact with the world. Pareidolia can also have practical applications. For example, in medical imaging, radiologists must discern meaningful patterns in complex images. Understanding pareidolia can help improve diagnostic accuracy and reduce errors, emphasizing the importance of cognitive research in practical fields. Pareidolia, particularly face pareidolia, is a fascinating phenomenon in our brain's natural ability to recognize faces. This capability not only enhances our social interactions and survival, but also highlights the complex and adaptive nature of our cognitive processes. So, the next time you see a face in an inanimate object, remember that your brain is simply doing what it has evolved to do best, finding meaning in the world around you.
Remember to hit the subscribe button and ring that bell to stay updated with our latest content. And while you're here, why not check out another one of our exciting videos? Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.